Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Today is an auspicious occasion for our temple. As noted in the service, we'll observe our Eitaikyo memorial service, October Shotsuki, and be honored to have Dharma messages from the International Ministerial Orientation Program students, known as IMOP. And hopefully you reserved a bento lunch as part of our Kedo Kai program today. If not, we hope you will still join with us later to meet and greet, and especially the IMOP students who will be there. These are potential future BCA ministers, so please enjoy today's activity. We'll now have the opening reading.
Please join me in Gassho. Those who reach the Pure Land of happiness return to this evil world of the five defilements, where, like the Buddha Shakyamuni, they benefit the sentient beings without limit. Namo Amida Butsu.
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 Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you, Bariko. We'll now have Sutra chanting, beginning with Sambucho on page 23, followed with Sambutsuge on page 77. After we complete Sutra chanting, then I will announce the October Shotsuki family.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Today, on this occasion of the Salinas Buddhist Temple, Eitaikyo Muen Hoyo, and October Shotsuki Hoyo, the members of the Sangha have reverently come before Amida Buddha in memory of their beloved family members. With deepest reverence and thankfulness for the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida, we reaffirm the three homages. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Nam Nam Nam.
Shunyo
I will now read the name of the deceased person for the month of October, and where appropriate, I'll list the names of the temple members associated with that person. Yoshitaro Yamamoto. If there is a family representative, they can please come forward also. Reverend Sue Iwai. Misao Kuromura, Mr. and Mrs. Mitsumori Kuromura, Mr. and Mrs. Tatsumitsu Kuromura, Mr. and Mrs. Tatsuo Kuromura. Takeshi Tony Itani, Tsugu Abe, Tomoko Konishi, Mr. and Mrs. Melvin Aoki and family. George Mikio Yasutake, Mrs. Claire Yasutake. Ayako Shiratsuki, Shunichi Urabe, Lloyd Toshio Urabe, Mrs. Fumi Urabe. Yakichi Kamimura, Mr. and Mrs. Akio Kamimura. Richard Nix. Randall Yukio Sato. Mezo Kawahira, Mr. and Mrs. Akira Kawahira, and Mrs. Atsuko Yamaguchi. Miko Uemura, Mr. and Mrs. Kenji Oishi. Carl Nizawa, Mrs. Rina Nizawa. Haruko Otsuka, the Otsuka family. Kazuko Miyanaga, Miss Machiko Miyanaga. Makato Baba, the Baba, Wong, and Perez families. Kimiko Kakauchi, Mr. and Mrs. Robert Katanaga. Masu Abe. So we will now invite the following Shotsuki families for Oshoko. Mr. and Mrs. Yotsuo Amiya. Mr. and Mrs. Isao Itokyu. Mr. and Mrs. Kyoji Michioka. Mr. and Mrs. Judo Uchida. Mr. and Mrs. Wataru Uchida. Mr. and Mrs. Hiroshi Uota. Mr. and Mrs. Neil Uota. Mr. and Mrs. Ikuo Uto. Mrs. Kazuko Yonemitsu. Mr. and Mrs. Kenji Yonemitsu. If there are any families that we missed for the Shotsuki Hoyo, you may please come forward at this time. So please now rise for the Gatha Shinshu Shuka on page 216. You may be seated. Thank you. We'll now have shoko by representatives. The Salinas Dharma School. We'll go all at once. Salinas YBA. Salinas Buddhist Women's Association. Buddhist Temple of Salinas. We'll now do the threefold refuge on page 10.
The threefold refuge. Difficult is it to receive a human form, now we're living it. Difficult is it to hear the Dharma of the Buddha, now we hear it. If we do not cross over to the truth in the present life, in what life shall we cross over? Let us with sincerity and true reverence take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha.
May we together with all sentient beings awaken the great way of enlightenment and to the unsurpassed intent of Amida Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we together with all sentient beings enter the storehouse of the Dharma, becoming like the wisdom ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we together with all sentient beings become units in true accord, in harmony with all things.
The peerless, profound, and wondrous Dharma is rare to encounter, even in many hundreds and thousands of kalpas. Now we are privileged to hear and receive. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Sankhyamo, Injin Kegatashi Imasudani Yuku, Buppo Kikigatashi Imasudani Piku, Konomi Konjo Nimukate Dose Zumba, Sadani Izure Nasho Nimukataka, Konomi Wodosen, Daishu Morotomoni, Shinni Samboni, Kieshi Tate Matsuru Meshi, Mizukara Butsuni, Kieshi Tate Matsuru, Masani Negawakuwa, Shijoto Tomoni, Aido Taige Shide Mujo Yoko San, Mizukara Honi, Kieshi Tate Matsuru, Masani Negawakuwa, Shijoto Tomoni, Kakukyo Zoni, Irite Chie, Umino Kotoku Naran, Mizukara Soni, Kieshi Tate Matsuru, Masani Negawakuwa, Shijoto Tomoni, Laishu Otori Shite Sai Mugen Naran, Mujo Jinjin Yono Owa, Yakusen Mango Nimo Ayo Kotokotashi, Murima Kenmoshi, Yuji Surukoto Waitari, Negawakuwa, Nai no Shinjitsu Gyo Geshi Tate Matsudan. Nam no Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Everybody awake out there? Thank you. So today we're really honored because we have with us two ministers from Japan. They are part of what is called, as Larry mentioned, the International Ministers Orientation Program. So they're going to be here in the United States for 3 months. And they're just right around 1 month now they've been here. And they've traveled to visit different temples across Northern California. And I think next week they're heading to Southern California. So yesterday they were with us for the Monterey's 75th anniversary. And we're so fortunate that they're with us today for our Eitaikyo service here in Salinas. So at some point, I'm hoping that one of them will become a minister here in Salinas. And then I can retire. So please be very nice to them. Show them your best hospitality. So I'm going to introduce them to you one at a time. First, Reverend Hiroya Sato is going to be speaking in English. And then I'll introduce Reverend Torii, who will speak in Japanese. So Reverend Sato is from Kagoshima, Kyushu, Japan. So many of you have, he knows Kagoshima very well. He grew up in a family temple in Kagoshima, and his temple is about 60 years old. He was telling me that he has at their temple a nursery school, and so it's a quite busy temple. 10 years ago they renovated their temple. He is a graduate of Ryukoku University, Department of Literature, with a major in Buddhism. And he also is a graduate of the Gonshiki Shidosho, which is a school for ritual and liturgy. He's also, I understand, accomplished player of the Hosho, which is part of the Gagaku Orchestra. It's an instrument that's played here. So he is, I was listening to him chant yesterday and today, wonderful chanting voice. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you English guest speaker today, Reverend Hiroya Sato. Sensei.
Hello everyone.
Morning.
My name is Hiroya Sato. I come from Kagoshima Prefecture, Kyushu, Japan. Oh, you... Oh. Yes.
Okay, goemast.
So we are trying to slowly.
Okay.
Yes. Once again. I came from Kagoshima Prefecture, Kyushu, Japan. I have been staying in Berkeley for 1 month. This is my first time to come to the United States. I am glad to have this opportunity to share a Dharma talk with you. How has your day been? Autumn began about a couple weeks ago. The nights are getting cooler. I hope we will all stay healthy. Today I'll talk about saying Satsuma, nameless banishment, big ship of Amida, and birth and death. Everybody, Gassho. Truly we know it is a great torch in the long night of ignorance. Why should we sorrow that our eyes of wisdom are dark? Amida's bow is a great torch in the long night of ignorance. We should reflect that, although our wisdom eyes are dark, we need not despair. It is a great ship on the vast ocean of birth and death. Why should we grieve that our karmic hindrance is heavy? The power of Amida's bow is a great ship upon the vast ocean of birth and death. Naman Lagas, Naman Lagas, Naman Lagas, Naman Lagas. Once I was employed at a temple in Kagoshima Prefecture. Those Jushoku chief organizations said Salinas exists so many Kagoshima members who immigrate at once. I hope that people or relatives keep Nenbutsu teaching now. Kagoshima, which province called Satsuma at Edo period, the area exists southwestern in Japan. The province was banished Nenbutsu teaching at Edo period about 300 years, which was prosperity of Jodo Shinshu educational brand of Japan. At this time, Satsuma people lost so many opportunities to hear Jodo Shinshu message because Nenbutsu teaching spread over the world between boy and girl, young or rich or poor. But political system interfered this teaching. The general Shimas at Kagoshima province made anxious if Jodo Shinshu Nenbutsu pass concentrate members' heart without my opinion, or Satsuma province found being above Kyoto Honganji in spite of poverty politics. So the clan vanished Jodo Shinshu about 300 years. In the area which persecutes or tortured Nenbutsu members, after Edo period, Japan restarted Meiji period. At this time, Meiji government decided order called Haibutsu Kishaku. Those mean abandoned Buddhism, especially Satsuma capital peoples to be Meiji capital governors. So the order of Haibutsu Kishaku was so strong. Nothing lingered. Temples in spite of those regions, Kagoshima existed more 1,000 temples. Although after this order, Meiji government liberated all of religion and made brand new government, because at this time Japan was closed for foreign countries. All of Japanese felt had to close to open our religion and our notion. At this time of Meiji period, 1899, we see a website notice. Two Buddhists came to San Francisco, so the 2 days of liberate religion at Meiji period and the day of come to Buddhist monk in San Francisco is very similar era. This time of Meiji period was so many people had a dream about over the sea and immigrated this era, wasn't it? So some people's related to be continued now. I'll bow for worship your ancestors for today's Shotsuki services or Eitaikyo services. This is Goen, interdependence, fate, or destination. Sometimes Mahayana Buddhism is called Daijo Buddhism. Those mean boarding big ship of Amida Buddha. This time I came from Kagoshima to Tokyo to Philippines cause of transit, and moved Philippines to San Francisco. The time have to keep boarding airplane 10 hours on Pacific Ocean. We are predictable, first immigrant people of Meiji period who was incalculable days passed through on ships. Recently, traffic's time are so swiftly and low prices than up now. Mahayana Buddhism compare Arhat awakening. Arhat awakening is independence awakening. Although Mahayana Buddhism awakening is not only Arhat, there was meaning by all of existence. We attain Buddhahood by other powers of Amida Buddha's primal goal. So, Amida Buddha's awakening is include all of Nembutsu companions. Today's first quote is parable, great ship of upon the vast ocean of birth and death. As a young boy, I couldn't understand what teaching means, but day by day I kept tasting message. As a result, answer of birth and death is so important for our lives. Many people have worried about disease problems. If those problems arise around us, many people cannot understand how it's going on my lives, because I'm too coward man on these problems. But Buddhism already has the answer of the people's problems. If we really need the answer of Buddhism, we have to recommend of Amida Buddha's primal goal. Shinran Shonin revealed this both in Nembutsu Path. I'm Sema man who lived impermanence, life revealed by Shakyamuni Buddha's teaching, so my word sometimes changes in this life, but Amida Buddha's primal goal will never change, even if this suffer world. So I recommend to take refuge in the Nembutsu. If we have a problem at that moment, we should open Buddhism scripture. Those have a message of liberation, this affliction. Shinran Shonin told, truly we know it is a great torch in the long night of ignorance. Why should we sorrow that our eyes of wisdom are dark? Amida's bow is a great torch in the long night of ignorance. We should reflect that although our wisdom eyes are dark, we need not despair. It is a great ship on the vast ocean of birth and death. Why should we believe that our karmic hindrance is heavy? The power of Amida's bow is a great ship upon the vast ocean of birth and death. Shinran Shonin notices similar hymn of the Dharma age. It is a great torch in the long night of ignorance. Don't sorrow that your eyes of wisdom are dark. It is a ship on the vast ocean of birth and death, don't believe that your obstruction of karmic evil are heavy. The two describes was indicated our darkness heart of ignorance or sorrow, our eyes of wisdom. This parable is Amida Buddha's great thought is our guidance of our affliction. I know this is Nembutsu teachings, even if my heart was covered with darkness, heavy, cold, cloud. This great thought indicates great pure and of perfect bliss. Nam Amida Butsu is great thought of our birth and death. Salinas monthly Shotsuki services or Eitaikyo services of October 2022. I share this teaching with you. Thank you very much. Naman Navats, Naman Navats, Naman Navats, Naman Navats, Naman Navats, Naman Navats, Naman Navats.
Thank you very much, Sato Sensei, for sharing with us some of the history of the Satsuma area and the Nembutsu teaching in that Kagoshima area. And now it's my pleasure to introduce to you Reverend Yukari Torii, who is originally from Gunma area of Japan. Gunma is just north of Tokyo area, where she grew up and went to school. Her senior year in high school, she spent 1 year in Florida and studied there as an exchange student. And then she went to Waseda University, where she studied film, history, and theory. And then she also went to the Czech Republic for a year to study Czech film history in Prague. She is an aficionado of performing arts, films, and overseas TV series. So I haven't had a chance to talk to her about which films or TV series she likes, so she might like the same ones that my wife likes, I don't know. But she is interested in philosophy, anthropology, religious studies, and folklore studies. And so she is so excited to share the Dharma with us today, and she will be speaking to us in Japanese. Reverend Yukari Torii. Sensei.
So you might get tired hearing Dharma talk, another Dharma talk again, but I have to do that. So, おはようございます。親戚先生、聞こえますか？大丈夫ですか？聞こえます。Sorry. 聞こえますか？大丈夫ですか？はい、ありがとうございます。親戚先生ご紹介いただきましてありがとうございます。おはようございます。改めまして、本日はようこそのお参りでございます。
私はこの9月から IMOP という開教師になるための研修に日本から参加しております鳥居ゆかりと申します。お寺が広島のお寺に所属しておりますので、もしかしたらね、広島のお寺の方もいらっしゃるかなと思いますので、また後でお話しできればなと思っております。で、今日は正月法要ということですので、皆様のね、大切な方々のご命日、お浄土にお生まれになったお誕生日を皆様とご一緒にお祝いしていきたいなと思っております。で、ご命日はこの世の命を終えられた方が仏様になられたお誕生日なのだということを気づかされたというお話をね、ある先生から伺ったことがあります。今日は最初にね、ちょっとそのお話をしたいなと思います。ある時にお坊さんが若いお母さんのお葬儀を行うことになりました。そのお母さんには3歳になる息子の圭太君というね、お子さんがいらっしゃいました。お葬儀はどれも悲しい気持ちになるものですけれども、その時はもう特にみんなね、悲しみがあふれるお葬儀だったそうです。圭太君が棺にね、入ったお母さんのそばを離れずに、どうしてママはずっと寝ているの？なんで起きないの？とね、お父さんにずっと聞いていたんだそうです。そんな風にね、聞かれて、お父さんも周りの参列者みんなが涙を流さずにはいられなかったそうです。お坊さんもね、ご自身ももう泣いてしまって、泣かずにはいられなかったというふうにおっしゃってました。それから1年後、一周忌の法要で、そのお坊さんはご家族、圭太君のご家族のお家を訪ねました。圭太君のお父さん、おじいちゃん、おばあちゃん、そして少し大きくなった圭太君がお坊さんを出迎えました。少し最初にね、お話しして、ではそろそろ始めましょうかということで、お坊さんがお仏壇のろうそくに火をつけると、圭太君が突然歌を歌い出したそうです。何の歌だったかね、皆さん想像できますでしょうか。 Happy birthday to you ね、その圭太君の歌声を聞いて、その法要のね、雰囲気が少し明るくなったそうです。ただね、お父さんは圭太君に、圭太、今日はね、お誕生日じゃないんだよ。お母さんの一周忌のお勤めなんだよというふうに伝えます。で、おじいちゃんが言うには、圭太君のお誕生日、4歳のお誕生日があって、その時バースデーケーキを用意して4本のろうそくを立ててみんなでお祝いしたそうです。だから圭太君はそのね、ケーキを思い出したのだろうというふうにおじいちゃんが言っていたそうです。それを聞いてお坊さんは少し安心しました。ね、家族、お母さんを失って寂しいけれども、みんなそれを少しずつ乗り越えつつあるんだなということで、安心してお勤めを再開しようとしたそうです。で、その時にはっと気づいたことがあって、ご家族にこう伝えたそうです。圭太君正解。今日は圭太君のお母さんがお浄土にお生まれになった誕生日だね。お母さんブッダの1歳のお誕生日を一緒にお祝いしましょう。圭太君のお母さんは君にとても大切なことを教えてくれました。私たちはみんないつか必ずこの命を終える時が来ます。そしてこの命を終えた時、みんな必ず同じお浄土に生き生まれます。君のお母さんはそれを 私たちに教えてくれたありがたいお母さんでした。お坊さんはね、こうやって計画に優しくお話しして一周忌の法要をお務めしたそうです。で、私たちの宗祖親鸞上人もお浄土にお生まれになることは喜ぶべきことなんだというふうにお弟子さん方へのお手紙でおっしゃっておられます。例えばあるお弟子さんがね、亡くなった知らせを聞いて、とても嬉しいです、お浄土に生まれたいと願っているお仲間の皆さんも喜んでいることでしょうと書いておられます。聞こえます？聞こえてます？大丈夫？
ちょっと聞こえにくい。
あ、聞こえにくい。どうしたらね。聞こえますか？聞こえます？ Can you hear me? Yeah.
Battery is
Oh. 聞こえますか？大丈夫ですか？いや、はい。で、親鸞上人はね、お弟子さんがお浄土に生まれることをすごく喜んでいまして、言葉でね、言い尽くせないほどおめでたい、嬉しい、私たちがお浄土に生まれるのは確かに定まっていることなのですよというふうに書いておられます。親鸞上人はお浄土への往生を喜んでおられましたが、同時にね、お弟子さん方が亡くなるのを悲しいともおっしゃっておられます。私たちと同じように大切な方とのお別れを悲しんでおられました。ただ悲しいけれども、私たちみんな必ず同じお浄土に生まれるのだから、またそこで会えますね。先に行った方が私たちをお浄土で待っておられるのですねとおっしゃっておられます。こういった親鸞上人のお言葉を聞き、お弟子さん方はとても安心したのだろうなと想像しています。一時は離れるけれどもまた会える、そう聞いて安心して命を終えていけたのではないでしょうか。で、私もこの教えを聞いて安心をいただいた一人です。13年前に母が脳梗塞、ストロークで倒れて、それから2週間後にもう起きることなく亡くなって息を引き取りました。それまでね、命の無常ということについて考えたことがなかったので、本当に悲しくて辛くて、もうお母さんに会えないのだなということが本当に一番悲しかったです。そんな時に母のお葬儀から少し経って、母のお友達からこんな言葉をかけていただきました。ゆかりちゃん、私のね、ゆかりちゃんのママはお浄土にお生まれになったのね。それを聞いて、またママに会えるのだなというふうにすごく安心しました。もう心配はいらないのだなというふうに思ったのを強く覚えています。で、その時はこの浄土真宗の教えを何も知らなかったのですが、なぜかこのね、言葉を聞いた時に不安や悲しみが取り除かれて、すごく不思議なんですけれども、もう安心することができました。で、これが阿弥陀様のお働きと言われるものなのだなと後になって納得しました。母の死後、私はね、もう母に会えないんだな、母はどこに行ってしまったんだろうというふうに思って悲しくて不安でいっぱいでした。母は死に、私は生きている。で、お母さんはね、もうどこにも存在せずに 私とお母さんのつながりも切れてしまったと思い込んでました。でそれを拭い去ってくれたのがこの阿弥陀様のお働きです。母、そしてね、お母さんのお友達、言葉をかけてくださったその言葉に導かれて、私はこのことに気づくことができました。お浄土に生まれた母はもちろんのこと、母のお友達も、そして母が亡くなって初めてそれに気づいた私も、実は同じね、この阿弥陀様の大きな手の中にずっと前から抱き取られていた。どんなに離れていても、私もお母さんも同じね、阿弥陀様の手の中の大きな救いの手の中にあるから、そのね、お名前である南無阿弥陀仏をお唱えすれば、いつでもまた会える。それが分かったから私は安心できたのだと思います。もう会えないと思っていた私とお母さんは、この南無阿弥陀仏という言葉にね、よって再び出会っていました。そしてもう一人にはしない、私に任せなさい、必ず救いますからねと言って、この南無阿弥陀仏の6文字となって私をね、抱きかかえてくださるこの阿弥陀様がいる、そのことに気づかせていただきました。この先立たれた方とはもうね、肉体とはもうすでにお別れいたしました。しかしながらこれから先も仏様となって阿弥陀様と共にね、皆さん私たちのそばにおられて働き続け支えてくださる、そのことをね、どうか思い出していただきたいなと思います。大切なね、方を亡くされて悲しむ時間も必要です。でもそんなね、悲しい時、苦しい時も阿弥陀様がね、その気持ちに寄り添って一人にはしないよとおっしゃって、そばにいつでもいらっしゃってくださいます。そしてね、阿弥陀様がお誓いくださったように、先立たれた方々は私たちを本当の教え、本当に意味のある幸せな生き方ができるように導いてくださっておられます。そして私たちもこの命を終えた時に阿弥陀様のお働きをいただいて、お浄土に往生し、同時にこの世界に残された人々を導くお手伝いをさせていただきます。そんなね、目標が見えてきたらちょっと楽しみなのではないかなと思います。このような大切なね、教えに導いてくださった先立たれた方々に感謝の気持ちをお伝えする機会が今日この小月法要です。お浄土に生まれたお誕生日おめでとう。そして大切なことを教えてくれてありがとう。その気持ちを込めてね、ちょっと皆さんもご一緒に南無阿弥陀仏を言っていただけますか。南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏。ありがとうございます。今ね、この阿弥陀様のお働きが先立たれた方に届き、私たちに届いて、今私たちはね、今ここで先立たれた方々にまたお会いすることができています。今日はね、このような本当に大切な機会をご一緒させていただいてありがとうございました。で、皆さん最後に大事なこと、今日ね、お帰りの際にバースデーケーキを買ってね、帰るのを忘れないようにしてください。これでね、終わりにしようと思います。ありがとうございます。Please join me in Gassho。南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏。
関係の向きは信じのもって本当せられそうそのゆえはもろもろの道義を投げ捨てて一心に御霊に君をすれば不可思議の眼力として運の方より往生は異常をせしめたもそのくらいを一年後期入少女始終とも釈しその上の称名念仏来我が往生を定めたまいし本法人の念仏と心的なりあなかしこあなかしこShinran Shonin taught that the essence of Jodo Shinshu is Shinjin. The reason is that by abandoning all other practices and completely entrusting ourselves in Amida Buddha, our spiritual rebirth is assured by Amida through the inconceivable power of the primal vow. This is known as entering the ranks of the truly assured at the very moment of Shinjin. Thereafter, all utterances of the Nembutsu should be understood only as expressions of gratitude for Amida's assurance of our spiritual rebirth. With reverence, I remain. Nam Mandavas, Nam Mandavas, Nam Mandavas, Nam Mandavas, Nam Mandavas.
So will the Sangha please rise for Gappa Onok San 2 on page 220. Seated. We'll now have the closing reading.
This is from the Wasan on the three Pure Land Sutras. Please join me in Gassho. Seeing the sentient beings of the Nembutsu throughout the worlds, countless as particles in the 10 quarters, the Buddha grasped and never abandoned them, and therefore is named Amida. Nama Amida Butsu. Nama Amida Butsu. Nama Amida Butsu.
At this time, I'd like to acknowledge some of the donations that were made today. The Osanai for the Onaijin fruits, Mr. and Mrs. Mitsumori Kuromura. The sweets, Mr. Kyoji Michioka. And the following temple members will donate refreshments for after the service tea. Mr. and Mrs. Melvin Aoki, Mr. and Mrs. Isao Itoku, Mr. and Mrs. Akio Kamimura, Mr. and Mrs. Juro Uchida, Mr. and Mrs. Jean Tsukamoto, Mr. and Mrs. Kenji Oishi, and Mr. and Mrs. Kenji Yonamitsu. I'd like to thank Reverend Shinseki for officiating today's service, and especially a special thank to the guest ministers from the International Ministerial Orientation Program. And a special thank you to Jack Lucita Dorman, who played the organ today. Does anybody else have any announcements at this time that they'd like to make? Well, thank you for attending today's service. Also today we're honoring our Kerokai members today with a bento lunch and gifts from the temples. I hope that we can all sit and have lunch together afterwards. But if you didn't have the bento ordered, there's a few left, very few, but a few left over. But still, please come to the gym for refreshments and be able to meet and greet everybody else, and as well as the special guest we had from the IMOP. So thank you very much again, and Sangha will now Oshoko.
your coat and the little kid. Refreshment. No, you were
Yeah, you can exit to the gym after Osho. Thank you.
It's pretty close to being dirty. The Lotus inside is destroyed. There's two buildings. There's actually two partitions. The Lotus in part. But it's not too bad if you have water. 20 miles. But it's